What's up, fellow Sambarians and Patitos? So, recent here, God, you can never start these out. So, if you are importing a Sambar or are a new owner to Sambar and you just got it or whatever, I'm gonna go over a video of kind of some things what to like expect when you get that Sambar fresh from Japan. Yeah. So this one was just imported less than a week ago. The importer brought it by to have me do some work to it for the customer. So basically, what was happening is when they got it from the port, it was pretty much just like puking oil out of the engine. We're just gonna say engine for now because we weren't 100% sure where it was coming from. Um, so, he's like, hey, can I bring this by? Have you look at it? It's puking oil out of the engine. It didn't seem like it was puking oil out of the engine when it was in Japan. Can you take a look at it? So, of course, I'm going to take a look at it. I'm a Sambar aficionado. So, I think that's the right word. He dropped it off, and, I did my little inspection. And what was happening was the cam seal was just puking oil out and dripping down the timing cover, then down onto the cross member. So it's kind of common with the sandbars. They got leaks and they come down in the timing cover. And let me just say this right now: the Acties are also prone to leaking. So don't just call out sandbars as being terrible K cars. They just need a love. They just need love like all the rest of them. And I'm pretty sure what happened was it was sitting in Japan for so long. It finally got here, and then that seal had dried out in the meantime, and then just started leaking oil. But I'll show you what I'm talking about. I had to get them some food. That's why they were quacking at me. So, like I was saying, we were getting a good leak coming right down underneath the timing cover. So, I thought for sure there was some gray RTV on here. So I don't know if they tried to do something in Japan. There was a lot more. I tried to clean most of it off, but it was dripping down here on the cross member, and we had a pretty good oil leak going across the bottom of the valve cover. So, if you're expecting a sandbar from Japan or you just got one, you will probably notice there's some oil leaking underneath this valve cover. Usually leaks right down here. So I did a valve cover gasket just to make sure, it wasn't just coming over that bridge over the cam and it was leaking there. It was most definitely leaking from the inside. I took this cover off and it was full of oil inside here, so it was definitely the cam seal. But I'm just pointing some stuff out. When you get your sandbar, you change the valve cover gasket, look inside, inspect. Also check your the valve lash and all that stuff. Make sure your valves are all in adjustment, or if they need adjustment, which I had to put the intake side on this one into adjustment, and they were out of adjustment. And so yeah, I did valve cover gasket and did valve adjustment. All good things to do when you get your fresh sandbar. So you notice there might be some oil leaking over here, and it could be the cam seal. So, he asked, can you check it out? And sure enough, it was a cam seal. So at that point, we might as well just do the timing belt and everything as well. Because by the time it gets over here, it's 25, 30 plus years old. Parts are old, timing belt's old. You obviously don't want that to snap. But what was a good thing that we did change it, the belt was okay. It was kind of cracking in some spots, but it wasn't bad. But the cam seal was definitely bad. Replaced that. And the crank seal. The crank seal was fine, but we did it anyways. Look at this water pump. It's bad. I mean, look at the fins are getting crusty. I actually had to take a wire brush and clean a lot of the crusties off of the block, because that's what happens is these things sit. Obviously, the coolant hadn't been changed enough, and it started to become acidic and kind of eat away at the metals. So that's why it's another good thing when you get your sandbar just to do the timing belt and the water pump and the seals all at one time, because you could have a nasty situation like this, or it gets really bad and the water pump will actually seize up, the bearing will seize up and split your timing belt and leave you stranded. Of course, thank goodness these are non-interference, so it's not going to do any damage. It's just going to leave you stranded. So did the water pump and the tensioner, which this tensioner was making a little bit of a noise, so it was a good thing we replaced that. It quieted the engine down a little bit. Also, I did a full tune-up. They basically most of the time need it by the time they get over here. So cap, rotor, plug wires, pretty blues, and the NGK iridiums. So I did that as well. But other than that, it's a very clean sandbar. I would definitely take this one for myself. There's no big dents in the body. There's no rust. Um, the interior is super clean. It's got the sandbar, rubber mats. Seats are in really good shape. It is missing the back little chingus, which is kind of a bummer, but that's okay. A little basket has this cool old person's warning. Or I think it's for old people to let you know that it's an elderly person driving. I think that's what that symbol means. So there's the old spark plug wires and the old rotor. So just some things to expect. It's going to be very dirty. This one's pretty dirty, needs a good detailing, and they usually all are very dirty when you get them, unless it was taken really good care of before it came over here. You're always going to find some fun trash, some paper, I'm sure that probably could have got it put into quarantine because there's some flowers or something. But you never know what to expect when you get a freshly imported sandbar. This dash can clean up really good with a good cleaner. But like I said, they're usually really dirty. This spot here on the sandbars is really prone to rust because you get in and out of this truck right here. Your foot's right there. If it's really wet where you're at, all that water will sit and go right into this pocket here where this dirt is, and that will start to rust out. So there's no rust in here, which is great. This is typical, this scuffing here, because your feet are going in and out. And then usually you tap your feet against the door, so there's always scuff marks on the door. But like I said, there's usually rust all around here because you're getting in and out. You scratch the paint. But there's no rust, which is good. These are usually always ripped, these little boots. Let's see, what else? The bottom is good. I think the little input shaft on the drive shaft was leaking a little bit. You could see some oil flung up, but no other oil leaks than that cam seal. Its little cover got broken off the key, but I mean, you can get that. And again, no rust over here really, which is good. These usually again have rust depending on if this was a passenger truck. A lot of in and out. But no AC. So the no AC has the deeper it's got the deeper glove box. This one actually has the toolkit in here, which is nice. It looks like it's never been used, so that's a cool little find. Some more tape and stuff. They usually just throw stuff in these things. It's really funny. The liner's falling down a little bit, but nothing crazy. They always are usually missing the left hand visor, which is kind of a bummer. But no broken handles, no real big rips in this. So just expect to be spending a lot of time cleaning your sandbar. They're always missing the battery covers. I think they just take them off so they can jump them easier. I don't know. They're always missing though. This is the only ding in this whole truck right here, I think, is this spot. Looks like they hit the bumper. Might have broken the bumper mount and clip, which I do have those. The motor mounts. Oh yeah, so let me show some other stuff that you should be ready to replace. The motor mounts are usually gone. This one is definitely gone. It's sitting on like the little safety bump on here, so these things are not supposed to be sitting on that, obviously, but there's a little rubber right there, so when it gets to that spot, it will kind of sit on it, kind of like a safety. So just be ready to change your motor mounts. I'm sure that one over there is probably ruined. You can't see it, obviously, it's behind the heat shield. This one does have the EGR, so I'm not really familiar with the EGR stuff, but I think we're going to start trying to produce a delete, which is a cap that will go here, a plug that can go in there, and then a vacuum plug on that guy, so you can get rid of this EGR crap and not have to deal with it, because it's kind of a pain. This thing gets in the way when you're trying to do your timing belt, so in the end I ended up taking it off, but it's just another thing you gotta remove to get access to things. But other than that, the engine's very clean. I did obviously put a new air filter in there and a new fuel filter, of course. Those are other things you should replace immediately. Your fuel filter, your air filter. There's a brand new K&N oil filter in there. I just did the oil change. The belt for the alternator was okay. That wasn't cracking or splitting. We don't have any leaks or anything up here on the top of the engine. I would certainly recommend cleaning the carburetor when you get your fresh Sambar, because it's usually going to need a good carburetor cleaning. Another thing I would do is I would remove this heat chamber tubing to your air box, because that just causes issues in the future. So you can just loop those two red lines together. I made a whole video on that, but that's usually some stuff that you should be, looking forward to doing, or prepare yourself to do when you get your Sambar, your imported Sambar from Japan. Oil change, filters, obviously, your timing belt and all that's usually a good time to do it. Spark plugs, seals, yeah, just give your Sambar a nice bath. Shine it up, buff it, wax it. This thing has brand new tires on it, so that's really good. Check your overflow. Make sure your tank isn't cracked or anything of such. This one's pretty cloudy, so it's kind of hard to see in it. And then you can use your phone light as a way to look inside there. Can't really show you the drive shaft, little input seal, but you get the idea. It's leaking just a little bit, but yeah, this is a great Sambar. Really excited for this dude. But this motor sounds really good. Solid motor. Very quiet. I did put Castrol, fully synthetic in it. I used a Hyperlube oil additive to help combat the crud that's inside, and it will help keep stuff lubricated when it sits. So it's just some stuff to do to the engine, so you help make it last a little bit longer, basically. But yeah, great little Sambar. Very clean. So those are just a few things to look forward to if you get your freshly imported Sambar. Obviously, just your tune-up and your timing belt and your water pump and your motor mounts and your spark plugs and your fuel filter and your air filter, and inspecting and cleaning, and just giving it a good once over and see what's leaking and what can be fixed. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. I just thought I would make a video on it because I was just pretty stoked on this guy's Sambar. It's really nice. So sometimes you can get a turd from Japan, and sometimes you don't get a turd. So, like I said, expect a turd. So when it gets here and it's not a turd, you're pretty stoked. And I like that cool little cat decal on the hood there. But cool. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, if you're getting a Sambar soon, hopefully it's not a turd. And if it is, I'll help you fix it. All right, cool. I will see you guys on the next one.